What's up, guys? I want to welcome you back to the weekly New World Interactive Livestream. I'm your host, Alex Blonsky, and it's been a bit of a fun week this last week. For those of you guys that watched last week's stream, I had a bit of a cold, and I exacerbated that pretty badly. I think that I wasn't ready to start talking, at least for like a 2-hour stream or whatever. And for I think 4 or 5 straight days, I haven't actually had a voice at home. I was supposed to do actually like a Dungeons and Dragons session, being the DM with a bunch of my friends, and I couldn't end up doing it at all because my voice was so bad I couldn't talk. So glad to be back and glad to be a bit healthier this week. In case you guys are wondering, in the background here, we've got a bunch of Sandstorm footage that we've sent out to our content partners. And basically, it's a bunch of footage that we used for our trailers and some of the featurettes and that sort of thing. And we've sent out to some of our partners that we've used in the past, and some of the guys that cover our game a lot or are big in the YouTube area for tactical first-person shooters. A couple of them being like Big Fry and Level Cap. I can show you their channels here for a second. So yeah, Level Cap did a video on us, and if I go to Big Fry's channel as well, definitely go check out these guys' channels and subscribe and like them. They end up covering a lot of our content, and if you're into tactical first-person shooter games, they're some of the best guys to follow in the business, so definitely go check those out. I'm running it in the background of this video, and you've probably seen some of the scenes before from our trailers and that sort of thing, but it's kind of like a extended version. But these guys give kind of a better impression on what they think about the game, at least from like a third-party perspective. You know, when you're getting perspective from me, I'm usually talking from New World's perspective, but it's cool to see especially the guys we respect a lot in the industry talk about our games and that sort of thing. The other thing I wanted to mention too was that for anybody that's into competitive Insurgency, the DGL season has started. DGL is, I would say, it's the biggest competitive Insurgency league right now. And first game ended up getting played last night between Veritas and S9 Lambda, and yeah, it was kind of a blowout. Veritas being a long-time team, but the EU season is starting, the NA season is starting, so if you're into that, definitely go check out the DGL and their channel. And if you're into playing some competitive Insurgency, I'm actually going to be doing another stream later today. If you're watching the YouTube video, there's probably going to be another YouTube video, but basically what we're going to do is later today I've got Quode on, who is a competitive player and Insurgency caster. He actually did all the casting for the Big Fry Invitational tournament. I guess it was about a month ago or so. And he's really good at teaching the game and explaining the game. He's literally streaming, I think, like 6 to 8 hours a day, every day, talking about competitive Insurgency. So he's going to try to teach me and hopefully teach you guys a thing about competitive. And maybe we can lead that up to eventually I can try playing in like a competitive scrim and that sort of thing, or like a competitive pickup game. I've been trying to play a lot more Insurgency especially, and a lot more Firefight, which is the mode that's used for competitive, and starting to get a little bit better, but obviously I need some more training, so Code is going to come in later today on another stream to help me out. But yeah, I wanted to especially answer some questions today. about any questions that anybody has in chat about Insurgency, about Day of Infamy, about Sandstorm, and might do a little bit of gameplay later, but I think we're going to keep this stream shorter because we're going to be doing a couple streams today, and if you're watching on YouTube, a couple videos today. So I'm just going to check chat right now to see what I missed. Did I change my haircut? No, haircut's exactly the same. I'm the kind of weird person that will take like an entire, entire 6 months before they cut their hair. So I get like really long. It starts growing starts curling up in the back. I'm just really bad about getting it done. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm old, but I don't do it often. I play D&D. Am I pumped for Pillars 2 Deadfire? I haven't got that deep into D&D. We've been doing it for about a year, just me and my friends, but if you ever thought about doing it, I'd highly recommend doing it. It takes a while, especially for the guy that's the DM. I had a friend that started off as the DM, is like a volunteer, because he owned all the books and materials and that sort of thing, and after a while, after we got a lot more into it, I'm going to start taking over as DM, but kind of sucked because I missed my first real DM experience this week because of my voice. But hopefully the stream last week turned out okay. Are we getting any customization to our character? So we haven't announced anything about customization, but I have talked before about especially like ranking and badges and that sort of thing, and that is something that we want to do, especially for matchmaking and competitive, is making it so that you have something that represents your rank of your play level and that sort of thing. So you can tell your friends that you're, I don't know, you're gold or silver or platinum or diamond or that sort of thing. And we'll show off more of that in the future as we get a little bit closer. A couple of people asking about playing in the DGL this year. There's a bunch of teams, a bunch of new teams, a bunch of old teams. For anybody that's really looking to get in competitive, besides the stream later today, I definitely recommend going to the Insurgency gym, playing some pickup groups there, and you can get either recruited for a team or recruit for a team. If you're a bunch of friends or you think you're good already, you can form your own team and enter it in the DGL for upcoming seasons and that sort of thing. It'll be really interesting too, because a lot of the teams that end up forming over the next while, I'd expect, would actually convert into Sandstorm teams. And we're planning on making competitive for Sandstorm a pretty big thing, because it's a lot easier now to get into competitive games. Instead of just searching for firefight servers and joining randomly, a real competitive game you'd want to start at a 0-0. It's kind of weird coming in at like a 5-on-4 game. It's a lot different than coming in, let's say, on a, I don't know, like a 16-on-15 game. Like, it doesn't seem as outbalanced as when some of these servers you don't have that many people joined together. So being able to pick up those games from scratch and not have to go to the gym or that sort of thing, you just hit a button and get matched with people that are your skill level and get better, and then eventually hopefully come up and try to compete with some of the best guys. So it'll be interesting once we get into Sandstorm like that. I did see a bunch of people comment on the videos that Big Fry and Level Cap put out there about the motion blurring game. It's an adjustable option. We kind of turn it on to like the highest setting for our trailers and that sort of thing to make it seem a little bit more cinematic. But it's definitely an adjustable option. I believe there's 3 settings in it, including an off setting in Sandstorm right now. So if you're not a big fan of motion blur, you can turn that off. But if you like it, it is in the game. Let's see. Did we change the slide mechanics for Sandstorm? Slide mechanics, I would say, are decently similar, but there are a lot more movement mechanics. If you watched last week's trailer that came out, or sorry, the featurette, you do see some sliding. You do see, I believe you see like a vaulting. The guy vaults through a window, and that sort of thing. So there's some new movement mechanics in the game, but I would say sliding is pretty similar. We like that mechanic a lot, especially for an easy way to get behind cover. Or it's another way to dodge as well, instead of just going down prone or ducking or that sort of thing. Let's see. A couple questions asking about the campaign, and yeah, we did get a lot of questions about that too since we released those videos. So campaign is canceled for launch, but we reserve the right to come back to the campaign at any time. I mean, we put a lot of planning and a lot of effort into designing characters and story and that sort of thing when we were going through it. So it's something that we do kind of want to come back to, but it will really depend on like our priorities after launch. Right now, our biggest priority is to get the game balanced, to get the game bug-free, and to get the game as polished as possible for you guys when we end up launching. And we appreciate everybody that's come in and give us feedback and opinion, and all the alpha testers that have come in and given their feedback, because it helps us polish the game and get it ready for release date. But yeah, I mean, it is something we would like to come back to, but it really will depend on our priorities after launch. Let's never say never. Map sizes, more Call of Duty or Battlefield? I would say most Call of Duty maps I've ever seen are very tight, and they're very much about corridors and that sort of thing, at least the ones that I've experienced, especially the modern Call of Duty games. I would say ours is kind of a combination. Like, the maps are now big enough, and you probably see in the footage, especially in the background right now, if you see the street there, how wide it is compared to even the last Insurgency game. And that's simply to support vehicles, and so that vehicles can be used as transport inside the game and get people from one place to another. So it is a little bit more wide open than Insurgency was, but I'd say that there are interior environments that kind of have that more Call of Duty lane style gameplay. So I'd say it's a combination of the two. The maps are bigger than they were before, in general, I would say, than the last Insurgency. But we're not looking at especially big open spaces, because their vehicles aren't like that. We still have everything's still centered around towns or structures or that sort of thing. So a lot of those wide open, especially Battlefield maps, wouldn't work as well inside of our game, just based on how the gameplay works. Let's see. Will the ranked, unranked matchmaking have lower tick rate than competitive servers, similar to how Valve handles CSGO public matchmaking servers, third-party matchmaking like Challenge Me? I think that we're still adjusting servers in general right now. Everything's getting adjusted because we're still in closed alpha. So we have to adjust our netcode all the time. Our graphics continue to get polished, like how the game looks right now inside the background. It's a lot better than it was, let's say, even a month ago. And there's constant updates out week to week, constant content updates. So in general, I would say that we're going to continue to improve it, but we haven't finalized exactly what our code is going to be looking like. But I haven't heard that on the table yet for matchmaking servers or anything having like different tick rates or that sort of thing. And obviously with custom servers and that sort of thing, it's adjustable based on server. It's a server parameter. So same with, I got a question about Xbox One Enhanced. Xbox One Enhanced is kind of weird because it is a very I would say, general concept as to what constitutes an enhanced game. Some of the enhanced games run at 30 frames per second but have HDR in them. Some of them have like 4K and 60 frames per second. So I'm not sure exactly what their classification is on what is an enhanced game and what is not an enhanced game. But we're going to try to polish the game to look as good as it can possibly be on consoles, and to run at what it should be a very, very playable frame rate. So that's really up to the adjustments over time and getting this game polished and ready for launch. What is NWI's primary focus? Console or PC? Evenly focused. There's a platform that will get exclusive, like other crappy FPS games. So our focus and our background is obviously as a PC developer, but there are like a couple things that we've added to the game to make it a little bit more console friendly. I would say the biggest one of those is like the UI and the menu, just so that that it's easier if you're using a control pad to control the game. And I think the other thing is that I think the controls are probably the biggest one. We're not sacrificing anything in terms of like graphical fidelity. It's awesome actually using the Unreal Engine because it is a cross-platform game, cross-platform engine, and it works really well across both of them. But primarily right now we've been concentrating obviously on the closed alpha for PC, but eventually we'll be doing a lot more stuff with console as well, and we're really excited to get a lot of console people in the game because I know that they've been waiting a long time for like a tactical FPS that isn't a Battlefield game or a Call of Duty game. So we're excited to give them something new as well. Let's see. Is it going to be releasing on PC as early access before full launch? We haven't announced anything about any kind of early access. We're hoping to involve more and more people testing the game before it actually goes out. We're currently in closed alpha, so that's just a group of people that we've randomly sent out keys to. But we're hoping to get more and more people, and if you know our company, we like releasing stuff early, getting people to test it, and then polish it, and then actually release it to the general public. So like if you've seen especially any of our Day of Infamy streams this last year, we'll release a map, let's say a month and a half early, and we'll get people to test it, and we'll continue to test it on stream and do these public play tests and get it polished and get everybody's feedback, and then put that into the actual final version. It's worked well for us in the past and allows us to develop content that is, we think, is more balanced and more polished than if we were just working on it in private. Let's see. Are you bringing the same damage mechanics from Insurgency to Sandstorm? What I mean is, will bullets be one-hit kills depending on what part of the body you hit? I would say, in general, yeah. That the mechanics are the thing we wanted to nail first. The feel is something that is always different when you're moving engine to engine, but so far I don't feel like a large difference between the mechanics and the feel and the kills and that sort of thing inside of Sandstorm. Obviously we have to make adjustments based on new weaponry and based on game balance and game modes and that sort of thing, but we're going for the same sort of like one hit kill, or at least a couple hits if the guy's wearing body armor, and depending on ammo rounds and that sort of thing that we had in Insurgency. So you don't have to worry about it becoming an entirely new or different game. Let's see. Open beta for Xbox. We've talked about making some sort of console test as well, and I think we're working towards that, but we've got nothing to announce for that yet. like I said, we want to be able to test on all platforms, and we like doing it early and get people in. So console would be a good place to do that too eventually. There's a lot of background sun, Alex, just letting you know. Yeah, and the maps we're looking at too, like this one, especially in the background right now, is like a kind of a cloudy, dusty, like desert map. There's ones that are like a lot more bright and sunny as well. And the lighting is something that continues to get passes over time. You hear our developers all the time in our dev chats talk about lighting passes and adding new lighting passes, and every time like the lighting looks better and the sunlight and that sort of thing gets adjusted. So it's something that that'll continue to get work as we get closer and closer, and obviously we like getting your feedback on that sort of thing. Let's see. Mod support. So yeah, mod support for launch. I think at bare minimum we're planning on supporting custom levels, but we haven't got like a full scope of everything that's going to be out. Eventually, we want to get it to the point we've had for our other games. We're an indie game dev. We came from modding background. For anybody that doesn't know the background of us, we came as like a Half-Life mod that eventually got developed into a full game. We created like a new game, Day of Infamy, which was basically on top of our original Insurgency game. So modding is a big thing to us. I would say almost every one of our developers is from the modding community at this point, and it's something that's important to us. So eventually we want to get full support in there. It's just we have to figure out exactly what is there for a launch and that sort of thing. Obviously, we're prioritizing making the game good first, but modding will be very important to us because it's something that's kept our game growing over time. All these different game modes, all these different add-ons, and even things like the custom competitive theaters, which people play for competitive right now, or something that was, a mod. There's firefight mode, but what people play is these modded servers. So modding's very important to us. Class system, yeah, we do have a class system. There's some new or modified classes to what was in original Insurgency. You've seen airstrikes and air support and that sort of thing. And if you played Day of Infamy before, here's an example. The helicopter that gets called in by a specific class working with another class. And so there are classes. They all do different sorts of things, and it's exciting to see some of the new abilities they have. Especially like the fire and air support becomes a big thing, especially in these big like 16-on-16 battles. Or if you're trying to push for one objective, calling down air support is a thing I always talk about in Day of Infamy. Is that it's just scary when you hear air support come in, and in some instances inside of Sandstorm testing right now, it is just as scary when you're hearing bombs and mortars and helicopters and massive airplanes come in. It's kind of cool to see, and scary for me every time I hear it. Let's see. How much we'll have to pay for the PC version? We haven't set a final price yet, but we're hoping that that we can attract a lot of the same people that we've had there before. Obviously, we had a single-player game as well, and we've cut that for release, so we have to take that into account. But we think we'll be priced pretty competitively, especially against our competition. If the graphics quality increase, the game will get heavier. Yeah, I think you can expect that. I mean, like, originally Insurgency, the original Insurgency mod was a mod for Half-Life 2, and this is a whole new engine, Unreal 4 engine. The graphic fidelity is way higher. The amount you can see on screen is way higher. A lot more rendering. You can see the textures. Like, everything looks a lot better. And when the game looks a lot better, you can expect the system requirements to go up as well. So we're hoping to keep it so that a majority of players can continue playing the game, but we want to make the game look as good as it possibly can as well. Let's see. I play a lot of FPS. Sound has a lot to do with the experience, I think. Will the Dolby Atmos or specific surround sound software be implemented in the engine? Echoes different sounds inside and outside the dwelling. Yeah. So we do have a little surround inside the game. I'm not sure all the specific like audio codecs and that sort of thing that we support yet, because some of the stuff is still being added. But so far, like, I've had this is kind of the same experience I've had inside of Insurgency, where you hear stuff behind you, or your footsteps behind you, and you can easily find it and turn around and use that, because stealth and those sorts of mechanics are really important inside the game. Sitting in a specific spot and defending and using sound to your advantage. Where did a shot come from? We hear the snaps all around you. You can try kind of figure out where somebody's firing at you from. You can hear where bombs dropping, if a helicopter's coming in, which direction is coming in. So yeah, surround and that sort of thing will be very important. But I don't have a list of all the audio codecs and stuff for you yet. Hoping Sandstorm will run better for me than original and Day of Infamy. My CPU really doesn't get along with the Source engine. Yeah, it's weird. Every engine has their own specifics in terms of what they're good at and what they're not good at. Some are very like graphics card heavy. Some are very CPU dependent. In comparison, I think out of the two, that Sandstorm so far, for me at least in testing on my system, is more graphics card heavy. But that's just my system. We'll have to see when we get closer and once we go through optimization. But yeah, it is weird. Like, it's a constant thing upgrading your computer. Like, for me, I go on a cycle every few years. You upgrade your graphics card, and then you upgrade your CPU and motherboard and the rest of the stuff. It's back and forth for me, where I'll do one and then do the other, one and the other, and there's always one lagging behind. So yeah, we'll have to see once we get closer and what it looks like for which one gets taxed more. And if you want a good example, Heavy Metal in the chat says something that's correct. It's Unreal 4 engine, so you could test how it would be with some new games that use that engine. Yeah, anybody that's looking for like system requirements, that sort of thing. We don't have finalized system requirements. We had the ones that to even get into the alpha, but that was within an optimized game. I would say that when the game actually launches, the best comparison would be any other FPS games that are run inside the Unreal 4 engine. So if you can run those games pretty well, it's a very good likelihood you're going to be able to run Sandstorm well. Player size and map size actually is dependent on game mode. So there's the smallest game mode is Firefight, which is the competitive one, and the one with matchmaking, or like true ranking and matchmaking, that sort of thing. And that is 5-on-5. But we go all the way up to 16-on-16 in some of these modes, and those become hellacious battles, and with lots of bombs dropping and vehicles running around and that sort of thing, and where you get all those other aspects of the game besides just the gunplay and grenades and that sort of thing. So yeah, as low as 5v5, as high as 16 versus 16 right now, at least on our servers. Let's see. Do you have any plans on social integration, like Twitch integration, YouTube integration, and features alongside those lines, or clip creation option to save and share those? Yeah, we've been talking about that a bit. We got nothing to announce yet, but it is something that that we have definitely talked about. I love, as I do all of our social media for the company, so I love getting clips of people's gameplay. And just shout out now, if you ever get a really good Insurgency clip, or are starting a Twitch stream or that sort of thing, just tag us on Twitter, Facebook, and that sort of thing, and I'd love to be able to share it and to promote your clips or to promote your streams on our accounts. But yeah, in terms of in-game, I think that's something we want to do. We just have to prioritize it versus some of the other stuff that we're doing in terms of polishing the game. But it's something I know personally I would like to get into the game. Let's see. Bullet drop. The Unreal Engine supports some advanced physics, and bullet drop is one of them. So yeah, depending on the weapon and the range, you should see some bullet drop, and you'll be doing some leading of some targets and that sort of thing. Let's see. Yeah, I'll go through some more questions. I don't think we're going to keep this stream as long as normal ones, simply because I'm going to be doing like a gameplay stream later on, and I definitely encourage you guys to tune into that. For you guys that don't know Lord Quode, who will be joining me later on today, he is a streamer. He's a pro player. He plays actually in the DGL that I mentioned earlier, and yeah, he's really good at explaining the game. Definitely go check out his Twitch channel. It should be twitch.tv/LordQuode. He's on there streaming Insurgency at a high level every single day for like 6 to 8 hours. So definitely go check out his stream. Are you expecting supporting this game for the esports scene? Yeah. So I think the thing is, like in the last few months, I have personally been getting very familiar with the esports scene. Been talking to all the players inside the scene, trying to figure out the things that they want from our games, trying to work with teams and work in terms of promotion. I would say that if you're a player that loves FPS games and you want to get into esports, this will be something that will be up and coming, like a new game that people get into for esports. The old one at this point is over 4 years old in terms of release. So obviously it's not going to be as big as something that was released, well, brand new. But when Sandstorm comes out, we fully expect to have lots of teams playing in some various leagues, and we'll be doing a lot of promotion for esports. And for those of you guys that are into Insurgency now, watch our Twitter, and we might do some in-game as well for some of these competitive games that end up coming up, especially the ones that are going to be really close games, like long-time teams that are playing each other, so you guys can learn about the game and kind of get good at the game before Sandstorm comes out, and can get introduced to competitive. It's always different getting into every one of these modes. I watch a lot of them, from Counter-Strike, Here's the Storm, there's a ton, StarCraft I've watched a lot. I remember back in the day watching a bunch of Quake and Team Fortress competitive, which was really weird. But it's a big thing for me, and it's going to become a bigger thing for us, especially as it gets easier and easier to get into matchmaking servers inside the competitive mode. I expect that's going to grow the esports scene for Sandstorm a lot, simply because we never had that before. You'd have to join a public server. Let's see. Destructible environments or just doors and windows? We don't have destructible environments in game. I was actually watching some Rainbow Six Siege competitive gameplay, and it was actually really weird for me to see destructible environments. I don't know how that would work when in our game we're going to have like big bombing runs and that sort of thing. And with levels lasting for, well, some of them, depending on the game mode and the server settings, lasting for a long time, I think it would be difficult to have everything be destructible. So yeah, doors and that sort of thing are probably the biggest destructible element right now. But we'll probably get more into that sort of destruction type stuff later with future videos. Will Linux be on release or shortly after? It'll actually be out hopefully shortly after Mac and Linux support. So we plan to launch on PC, on Xbox One, and on PS4. Eventually we're going to get to Linux and Mac, but we're optimizing right now for the places where a majority of people play. We have got Linux support for our other games, and we don't think that'll change in the future. It just won't come for launch. Will there be leagues for both console and PC, and will both given the same amount of promotion? If there's any leagues, and if you're in a league, if you're running a league, that sort of thing, just reach out to us if you want promotion. And that goes not just for Sandstorm, but for any of our games, for Day of Infamy or for Insurgency right now. Always willing to talk to the community. You guys can join our Discord or join, well, even message or DM us on Twitter, or email us or that sort of thing. And we've got no problem promoting leagues and games and that sort of thing, because honestly, for me, and all the games I've played, it's aspirational content. It's the thing that drives you to become a better player. When you see somebody pulling off some crazy no scope 360s and that sort of thing, you get hype and you want to get in there and play it. So it's, I would say that competitive drives the entire scene, and whether you're playing on console or PC, it's definitely something we want to promote. Cross-platform play is not something we're playing right now, just because and we've seen it before, there's going to be a large difference between being able to play on a console controller and versus playing on a PC. So while it could be possible, it's not something that we're at all focused on right now. I think right now the scenes are pretty separate, and the people that play PC love playing PC, and the guys that love playing console with their friends love playing console. So I dig the Insurgent tracksuits. Yeah, they're rocking some. I don't know if it's Nike or Adidas or whatever, but yeah, it's some pretty sweet tracksuits. Let's see. This game looks fantastic. I like how you said they're focused on making the game work, no bugs. Yeah, I think that's the thing that most games should actually focus on, right? I mean, if you're looking to pack in a billion features inside of a game, and that sort of thing, there's just so much to test. I think the reason why we especially are canceling single player for launch is that we want to get the gameplay loop of Insurgency down pat, and because that is the majority of people that play Insurgency currently, and there's a lot of them. I mean, we're talking like, I think we're up over close to 4 or 5 million now, that they're expecting something, and they're expecting the same sort of gameplay that they had in previous version, with a lot of like additions packed onto it. So I think nailing that is probably the biggest thing for us, and it's the thing that why we've done such early testing on the game, and want to get that down packed. We need your feedback, so we're going to continue to open up that testing and try to refine the game as much as possible, the gameplay and that sort of thing, so it becomes easier for us to add more content and that sort of thing once the game is kind of down pat. Will there be built-in ladders, league tools when the game ships? There will definitely be like a ranking and like a ranking system, and of course matchmaking based on that system. So I guess that is probably the best way to describe it. Beyond that, I think we're gonna have to look into what we can do, and I've got nothing to announce for any kind of like public ladders or visible public ladders, but it depends on what our guys can work on in terms of how to display that information that we're running on the back end publicly. So we'll have to see as we get closer. Still a ways off. Are there keys for a possible test? So right now we are in closed alpha, and those keys were sent out. We also do like some internal testing as well, but we're not doing keys based on people requesting them. We're doing keys for usually random, like random people, both people that played a long time and new people, so we can get feedback from everybody. Because this game is going to be played by a variety of people who play the game casually, maybe they play the game with bots, and the people that are super hardcore, and we have a mix of those people. And of course, the ones that are hardcore, when you get in the game, you get the most feedback from them as well. So like, we definitely hear you, and enjoy getting your feedback on the game. Will we be able to make E3 this year? I think so. Yeah, there was a bunch of industry events that we have lined up. Hopefully E3 is one of them. I don't know if I'll be going, but we have been there the past, believe it's the past couple years. So yeah, it'd be exciting at least to talk to people about the game and get their first impressions. We get text-based, a lot of text-based impressions. We don't get it too many people talking to us directly about the game in audio, unless we're doing like some of our internal tests and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's always cool to hear people, especially talk about your game. It's something that I like when I mentioned before about like the big fries and level caps, to hear them like start, I don't know, gushing a little bit about the game. It feels good, right? It feels good to have like the stuff that you're making validated. Lots of competition, Call of Duty and Battlefield. Everything I'm hearing and seeing is great. Call of Duty is getting old. Modern day is my preference, so I'm loving this. Yeah, there's different games for different types of people. I mean, there's people that just love that Call of Duty. It's super fast-paced loop. There's people that like Battlefield, these huge open areas and these like massive armies clashing into each other. People like Squad, these super realistic, like wide open area type gameplay where it's lots of coordination. It's slow move up to a point, super realistic. And I think we try to come in between everybody, where we do have some really fast-paced gameplay, but you can be slow and tactical as well. There's all these different methods you can use to try to play the game, and we want to be able to support all those if we can. How has cut the single-player portion helped the game develop for multiplayer? Have you thought about using some cut single-player content to flesh out the missions in PvP, co-op, etc.? well, you can see you'll be able to see some of it. I mean, if you've seen the video or the last trailer, like the first teaser trailer, there was a female character in that, and we're definitely going to be bringing female character models in the game, which will be kind of cool. There'll be a lot more models. I think right now you see in the gameplay footage there's a lot of like similar models because we're just trying to nail the gameplay, and more models are being added into the game. But that part will be pretty cool. I actually like playing female characters mostly inside game. I don't know why. I just like doing it. Let's see. Can you take the machine gun off the truck? That would be amazing. But no, that gun is ridiculously big. It's super big. And if you were the man that could lift that gun and actually operate it, good luck to you, sir. You are Arnold Schwarzenegger in basically half the movies I've seen him in. But no, just based on the models of the people in here, I don't know if any of these guys like work out enough that they're gonna be able to lift that gun off that truck and be able to handle it without like spraying it like a fire hose or something. Let's see. Tell them to get to the gym then. Well, yeah, I guess so. But these guys are too busy fighting, man. They're not sitting there. They don't have time to work out. They're in a battle every day. They die and respawn every day, over and over and over again. They're not sitting there like pumping weights. Plus, like, what's more mobile than a truck? Why would you not want to have like that gun on a truck? I'm just saying, like, here's it would be pretty hilarious to have it in game, but if somebody sees that, the first thing they're gonna see is that is unrealistic, and I don't know if we want that on our conscience. In other words, Alex, this is now a DGL fanboy, and there will be no official competitive anyway. No, I'm not saying any of that. We're still evaluating all our options for competitive. We're big fans of the DGL and competitive community in general, and there's a lot more communities that aren't just the DGL. So having like an official esport would be cool too, but we're still trying to figure out exactly what that looks like for our game, because every game does it differently, and lots of games launch without their own competitive, and they move into that eventually too. I mean, like, look at how long it took Overwatch and what that league looks like now, where you have like NBA teams that are investing into specific teams and all the people that end up watching that game in competitive. So how that forms over time, the competitive community is something that's constantly evolving, and whether or not we end up doing it for launch or we rely on our community to go and do that and promote them, we'll still have to figure it out. Let's see. Will there be any sea water gameplay elements, for example boats, rivers, or lakes being part of the map? So look at the water right now. So I just want to show you this, like, oh, maybe it's not in this clip, but there's like a weird bug when these clips got put out, where you could actually walk on top of water, but that's not going to be in the final version of the game. Obviously, it was a bug. We don't have any boats right now or like levels set up for that. You'd have to have like a really huge environment especially for it, and even inside of something like PUBG right now, I find like if you're on a boat, you're in trouble. Like, nobody's like actively going and like hunting down boats and using some sort of boat strat, because most of the game ends up pushing you into an area that doesn't, or that's on land, obviously. But yeah, for our game, I don't know if it fits exactly, and we'll take the army land-based gameplay and leave a navy-based game for mods or that sort of thing. Speaking of possibilities of mods and the cut single player, will there be ability for creators to create fully functional single player campaigns missions if they wanted? Possible mission editor similar to, say, we can do in Arma. Well, we're planning full mod capability. There isn't really anything stopping people from doing that today using assets and that sort of thing, even inside of the original Insurgency. So if you wanted to develop something that's single player focused, you definitely could. Revival system, medic, revive. We do not have revival in the game. We do have, similar to Dave Infamy, being able to call in supplies and that sort of thing, so you can either reload or heal up. So that is interesting, but we don't have like a medic type character that brings guys up. I always find it weird because you get clipped by somebody and you're probably bleeding out, and then you're just like back to full health. And with some of these medics in games, and that seems odd for a game where like it's a one-hit kill, and it would be really, really odd for something like competitive. So it's not something that we're planning in game right now. But who knows? You never say never on things for bringing out new classes or that sort of thing. Will guns and attachments have real names like M4 416 and M4A1? I actually had to talk about this a little bit with the team the other day, because a lot of this stuff, especially gun names, car names, helicopter names, even like plane names, they're all copyrighted. So we will have like the name of the gun in there, but sometimes it's modified, that sort of thing. We're not going to the system, let's say, that Grand Theft Auto has, where they come up with an entirely different name for it. But yeah, we are inspired by a lot of like modern guns and weapons and that sort of thing. So yeah, you can expect the same sorts of guns that are on a current battlefield today. Just the naming conventions are a little bit different sometimes. Well, yeah, a good example would be like the airplane. We call it air fire support or that sort of thing, because you just can't use it. Same with like drone names, and a lot of it is just inspired by. It's not the actual models, nor would we ever actually take models. Let's see. I got a question about ambush mode. So here, I'm just going to switch over to browser for 1 second. I did see this week, which was a petition for ambush mode in game. And we've talked through ambush before, and ambush isn't something that we're currently looking at for launch, but I would say never say never. It is a game mode that is rarely played right now inside of the Insurgency community, but has a small hardcore following. And if we do hear enough people say that they want it in game, and that people are going to play it, sure, it's something that we might look at down the road. But I would say that right now we're concentrating on the main gameplay and what the modes the majority of people play right now. So that's our focus right now. But it's not saying that we couldn't get to it down the road if there's enough support for it. So I guess that's the best way to put it. We don't tend to typically rule anything out absolutely, because there's a lot of time for us to continue to update the game, either before launch or after launch, where you can have years upon years of updates. But yeah, it's not something that we're looking at least right now. Minimum video card. We haven't got any kind of formal minimum specs yet. I went over that a little bit earlier, but yeah, I've said it before. If you can run Unreal 4 based first-person shooter, likely you can run Sandstorm. Nighttime modes, IR lasers, rifles, night vision option. Well, we haven't shown off anything like that, but we did have it in the original Insurgency. It would be interesting to see that kind of gameplay transfer into Sandstorm as well, especially with the Unreal 4 lighting engine. So nothing can show, but yeah, it would be kind of cool. What inspirations have the devs taken into account when creating Insurgency Sandstorm? Movies, books, combat footage. Do any of the devs have real-world combat experience? Do you have a military advisor on the team? So, we originally Insurgency was created by a small team, including Andrew Spearin, who was inside, had put in a number of years inside of the Canadian military, and tried to create kind of something that would combine his experiences inside the military with the kind of games that he liked playing, and that those ideas kind of evolved into the game that we have now once a lot of the other mod members came on. Jeremy, who now is the head of the company, kind of evolved the game into what it is today. And while we don't have somebody on staff present that is in the military, I would say every time like a military game comes out or movie or that sort of thing, our team is all over it. They're playing those games. Every single military first-person shooter that comes out, our team is playing or talking about that sort of thing inside of our internal Slack. So we're very, very much into it, and we find a lot of our community as well are either current or former military vets as well, which is awesome to hear that they like playing this game and they find it enjoyable after they've done service or are in service of, I know, my country or the United States or wherever they're serving. So it's kind of cool to hear that so many people in the military like playing our games, and that's something we definitely want to service if they find this game fun, and we definitely want to hear their feedback as well. Talking about language and language patches, can convert them to official patch later. So in our last couple games, what we've done is we've had translation and open public translation. I think obviously right now we're prioritizing English, but we still have to go through other countries as well in terms of what we're supporting for languages. So nothing official for languages yet, at least the variety of them, but it is something that we can look at. Everybody wants their own though, so it's hard to prioritize which ones get first dibs besides the percentage of people playing the game who have that language from any specific country. So it's something we'll have to lead up to. Other than Insurgency Sandstorm, what games are the devs currently playing and enjoying? I've seen, there's a bunch of people playing PUBG and Fortnite, etc. I see a bunch of people playing Squad. Obviously, we end up playing our own games. I know I'm like a Blizzard fanboy, so I still play some like Diablo 3, and I play some Heroes of the Storm. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to some World of Warcraft when the new expansion comes out. But usually I get into it, play through, and then don't want to go to the end game again because goddamn, that soaked up a lot of my life. Looking for 30 FPS or 60 are some true 1080p 30 FPS games that look great. Just curious on the dev goals. I think that we're just trying to strike a balance like every game does. I mean, you have to always look at what the graphic fidelity looks like and compare that to how fast the game is running. For us, I mean, we have a PC background, and smoothness is a pretty big thing, but we love the new engine and all the things we can do to it. We have to see how much performance we can pump out of this new engine before we launch. So I don't think we have like a firm goal for it yet. We're going to try to get as much out of it and then see if we have to make compromises and which we end up taking, because there's people on both sides. But we've heard all sorts of suggestions from sliders that you can use even inside of console versions and that sort of thing. So I don't know. It's all kind of up in the air, and we'll have to see where we land when we get, especially after we get more people in and testing console versions. Why was Day of Infamy not made on Unreal? Basically, because Day of Infamy, we actually had a really quick turnaround on Day of Infamy, at least compared to having a normal game. Sandstorm has had a really long turnaround, and we're working on Sandstorm even while we were working on Day of Infamy. So it's a lot easier to adapt a game on a current engine that currently exists and that you have a lot of experience on, compared to doing a brand new engine that you haven't used before and trying to adapt like all sorts of new gameplay elements and that sort of thing. So I would say that like for us, all of our staff like basically had a background in Source and being able to turn around a Source game, but getting into a brand new engine and optimizing it and doing all this stuff, especially from scratch, is a lot different than it was for Day of Infamy. So that's kind of why we didn't go Unreal first, because we'd be waiting around a while. Plus, like Insurgency is kind of our bread and butter. It's something that we've been working on since 2007 as a team. So it's kind of up our alley, and we wanted to get Insurgency inside of the Unreal Engine first. I actually talked about Ambush a few minutes ago, but yeah, it's something that we can revisit after launch, possibly. But yeah, if you want it, I think that you should let people know. Go to the forums, you can go on Twitter, variety of places you can go, but need to hear some feedback about it, because right now it's a mode that a minority of our players play, even though a lot of the people that are still playing it are really hardcore about it, because usually that's what happens with small communities. I want to know how many voice roles Mikey is truly responsible for in Insurgency Sandstorm. So Mikey, well, besides lending his own voice, Mikey is also responsible for coordinating all the people that will end up lending their voices to the game. And there'll be a lot of them compared to the original Insurgency, where it's pretty much just Mikey. So like a lot more characters, a lot more voice actors, and he's been working with them the last while to get them set up and to do auditions and that sort of thing. And yeah, so he's very much responsible for anything that comes out in voice inside the game. Yeah, for people that notice, yeah, I am drinking Canada Dry. Being Canadian, it's ginger ale here in Canada, though I believe it's also sold in the States. But yeah, it's a space can when it's behind my green screen. Let's see. Sellout, yeah. Canada Dry sponsorship. The guy that made the DOI mod is now working on an NDOI. Well, I mean, we made the DOI. DOI is a full-fledged game, so I guess they are part of the team. Yeah, I'll take a few more questions, but we'll keep this short because we're gonna do a second stream a bit later on. Hopefully you guys are having a pretty good day. I would remind you guys again to definitely check out let's see here. Definitely check out Big Fry's channel. Search Big Fry on YouTube. He covers a lot of our games, and he has a bunch of Sandstorm videos. They also seem to be some of his most popular videos. He puts out our Sandstorm. He's always covering our game, and we definitely appreciate it. Other guy to check out is Level Cap. If you haven't got him already, he's got an insane amount of subscribers on YouTube, 1.85 million at this point. He just did a wrap-up of the footage I've been kind of running in the background and like his impressions, and it's kind of cool, especially from like a big YouTuber, to hear those impressions. So definitely check out those channels. Go search for Level Cap Gaming on YouTube if you haven't already subscribed to him. Can I give a funny story anecdote from the development of Insurgency Sandstorm? So you just saw the helicopter crash here. I'll go back and rewatch that for a second. So the helicopter you see crash there. So one of the cool features inside of the game is you're allowed to call an air support, but the air support can get shot down, like you saw in that featurette and you saw a little bit earlier there. So there was this bug that I had, I think it was last week, where you'd shoot down the helicopter, but the helicopter would actually fall to the ground in slow motion. So it was just exploding in the air, and it probably took like 3 minutes to finally land. And there's this weird thing too, because like all the smoke and stuff would just like slow-mo streak in the sky. So it was like, I don't know, it was like a comet or something that would take a long time to hit the ground. Just falling out of the air. It's just a super weird bug. And you see those kind of weird bugs all the time. Like, I think I've talked about one before where you have a guy that's standing like on the hood of one of our trucks, and another dude will like jump on the back, and because the physics was messed up for the vehicles, he would catapult. So you jump on the back, the guy on the front would be on the front and just go boom, like right across the entire level. Just because, I don't know, it was maybe weighed like 5,000 pounds in Unreal Physics or something. But you run into those sort of funny bugs when you're doing testing and that sort of thing. Let's see. Yeah, so I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Reminder, if you're watching on YouTube, there'll be another YouTube video coming out shortly. I'm going to be on stream today with Lord Code, who is in the chat. We're going to be doing some, especially teaching how to play competitive, how to play Firefight. For those of you guys that want to get into play competitive mode and kind of get ready for what, especially the matchmaking will be like inside of Sandstorm, playing 5v5 mode, which has to have like a lot of communication, call outs, and that sort of thing. And yeah, I'll be happy to get him on I don't know if he'll also be streaming on his channel as well, but you can follow him on twitch.tv/LordQuode. And yeah, want to thank everybody who came in today and asked some questions. And we'll be getting back to you guys soon with some more content. So thanks for everybody for joining, and we will see you guys later.